So you want to move to Mexico or come here for a visit? Well, here are our
top 10 tips for having an enjoyable experience while you're visiting.
And since we've lived here for 2.5 years, we feel like we have some experience in this area. So stay with us. So I'm Luisa.
And Michael.
And we are Retired Life Mexico. And we're so glad that you're here joining us once again. If you're new, welcome. And thank you for helping grow this community. We have over 1,500 subscribers. Yay!
Welcome back if you're one of those people.
Yeah, this is very exciting. But today we're going to help those of you who are thinking about coming to Mexico who may not have been here before, because we found that these are questions we get asked all the time. Okay, the first thing that we want to talk about is, where do you stay? Airbnb or a hotel? Well, we've stayed in both, and we usually look on the Airbnb sites themselves or booking.com. Oftentimes you'll find an Airbnb on booking.com. But here's the big key. You got to get into the center of town, in our opinion, and find where all the tourists are for about a week.
That's right. And then you can explore that area and see what's about around there and get a good feel of the area.
And then you can walk around the neighborhoods and see what else is out there. But at least you have a central location. And yes, the price is probably going to be a little higher there because you are in the center of all the action.
That's right.
But this is where a hotel probably doesn't have a kitchen. Sometimes they have refrigerators and they have a stove maybe. But you read the reviews and you read the details. But the key is reading those reviews, because even though the pictures are beautiful.
Yeah, they can use little words like, this one is a little dated.
Or they'll say, it's in a great location right next to the church. And that's
in Mexico, they have a lot of bells ringing all night long.
All day long. And so also they might say the kitchen is quaint and not a lot of space, but workable. So those are things you have to read, because people don't like to give negative reviews for Airbnb. And so you really need to double check those reviews carefully. So that's what we do. We stay in a hotel for about a week, and then we walk around the neighborhoods and we find signs in windows, or we'll see the Airbnb and kind of pick out where it is and say, let's try that place. And we stay about a month, because you get a better rate if you stay a month. And that's how we find Airbnb.
Yep.
Number 2, this is how we find information about the city.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes from expat groups. And yes, we don't like that word expat. We are immigrants and we are actually residents, but we like to get into the expat groups on Facebook.
They're invaluable. They have so much wealth of information from housing, medical, dental, their experiences in the area.
And they even have group meetups so that you can meet people in the town.
That's right.
And you can learn more about what's going on. But if you want to join the expat group, you've got to be on Facebook. And we have met people that say, I don't do Facebook. Oh my gosh. Well, if you're going to travel around, you probably need to be on some kind of group. And Facebook has a lot of really nice expat groups, nomad groups, but you don't have to join everything else.
Yeah, you can just limit your access to the groups that you are involved with.
Yeah, so get into those Facebook groups. And then talking about doctors and dentists, medicine. What do you do about medicine? Do you bring all your medicines, or do you just say, I'll get some when I get to Mexico?
I always recommend bring your prescribed medicines from your doctor. The city that you're visiting may or may not have the exact medicine or dosage. So if you can, please bring those with you.
Okay, but we had a friend the other day say, why are there so many pharmacies here in Mexico?
One of the reasons is because you don't need prescriptions for a lot of the drugs. Now, some things like antibiotics and the specialty things, some injectables, things like that, you may need a prescription for.
In fact, we were in Mexico City and we both got really sick. So we had to go to the pharmacy to get some anti-throwing up medicine, whatever that
Antibiotics we needed.
And so we went to the pharmacy and asked for it. And they said, oh, no,
sorry.
got to have a prescription. So where'd we go?
We went next door to a Walmart, which actually had a contract doctor, and he was took our history and wrote out what I asked him to give me.
And for $5 for the doctor
The
visit.
doctor's fee was $5, and then the prescription cost more.
Right, but we
Yeah.
were able to get the prescription we needed.
Very affordable.
So please know that medicines are very affordable here
Right.
in Mexico. And then we talk about doctor visits, and that's number 4, because if you get sick, go on those Facebook pages and say, I have this, I have that. And people will say, we are not doctors.
Right.
Go to the doctor.
Or they'll say, oh, you should try this, you try that, and you wonder where they got their medical degree from. Go see a doctor.
Yes, because you will probably get some kind of stomach issue from the food. You may try to eat the street tacos. If you're going to eat street tacos, be sure to eat at the taco stands that have lots of locals standing in line to eat there, because otherwise, who knows how long that food's been sitting out. And what they do is they have plastic plates, and then they put a piece of plastic, like a Ziploc bag, over the plate, and that's what you eat off of.
And then they remove that, wash the plate, and start all over.
Of course, they don't have running water.
Yeah, they dip it in.
They dip it in something.
Yeah.
So be careful about that. And the water, do we drink the water in Mexico?
We drink potable sources of water in Mexico. We'll get our water from the store. It's sealed, it's purified, and that's what we generally do. I have an emergency backup system that we use for, it's called Sawyer Squeeze, and that's what we use when we're hiking in the Camino, and it'll purify the water. But generally speaking, we go to the store and buy potable water.
And we use that for brushing teeth and cooking and drinking. So the only thing we really use tap water for is taking a shower.
Right.
So beware of that. And yes, most of the time you cannot throw toilet paper into the toilet. That gets a little stinky. But if you see a sign that says don't throw the toilet paper in, don't do it.
Yeah.
There are some really nice places like hotels and newer restaurants that will allow you to flush the toilet paper, but you can tell if you have to flush the toilet paper if there's no basket next to it, or if there's no sign. If there's a sign and if there's a big basket, you have to put the toilet paper in the basket.
That's correct. And one other thing in Mexico that was surprising to me, be prepared to pay to use public restrooms.
Right. In fact, that leads us to the next one.
All right.
Number 5 is ATM. How do you pay? Do you pay with US dollars, Canadian dollars, or pesos?
When you're in Mexico, you should use the peso.
Yes, because that's the currency of the country. Now, some of the tourist areas will let you use your credit card to buy.
Right. They're starting, like in Mexico City, they use the card all over the place. Here in Vallarta, they want cash, or excuse me, they want pesos.
They want pesos. But people say they bring their US dollars here. This happened to us a couple weeks ago. A lady brought her US dollars and she said, where can I exchange these for pesos? And I'm like, well, you can't usually go to a bank. The banks don't exchange them. They're not exchanged. Right. But if you can find a casa de cambio, that's a place to exchange your pesos. But they're not as...
Yeah, the rates that you're going to get are going to be not very fair.
They're going to be low.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Right.
But they also are not very common to find. So you're going to be digging around looking for one of those. But the way you can get your money is with an ATM card. Go to any bank, use their ATM machine. Don't use the ATM machines that you see at the airport.
The standalone ones.
Or the ones that are standing by themselves
Stay
on
away
the street
from those.
corner.
We don't know how those are regulated.
Yeah, and they may not have any money. You put your thing in there and it says you got money, you didn't get any money. But the card that we use is Navy Federal. They reimburse us our ATM fees.
Right, very good.
We've also heard that Schwab Bank,
Charles Schwab,
they also reimburse your ATM fees.
But check with your own bank to see what the fees are like.
Right. So bring an ATM card. Now, some people say they can use a credit card to take out cash from an ATM machine. We don't do that, so I don't really know.
Right.
But we recommend the ATM card. Number 6, walking. When you're walking around looking for those ATM machines at the banks, be careful of where you walk, because the sidewalks
be extremely careful. The sidewalks are uneven. There are trip hazards all over the place in Mexico.
And if you're coming here wearing heels, I don't know who wears heels on vacation, but some people do. They think they're going to dress up a little. You want to wear flats or Tiva sandals or chacos or something that's not going to cause a lot of problem when you're stepping into some of these baches, potholes,
Right.
and people fall all the time.
Yeah, we've had friends who had to visit the orthopedic surgeon because of falls.
And I have a friend who fell and hit her whole face. Didn't break anything, but her whole face was all black and blue. And also, along with flip-flops, we see people wearing flip-flops.
Yeah.
Those are not so great, but they're good at the beach. But walking around on cobblestones and sidewalks, not such a great
Just
thing.
put your feet at risk.
Yes, they do. And number 7, sunscreen and bug repellent.
Yeah.
It's hot here, and the sun is closer to us here than in the north. So no matter how long you're outside, if you're not covered up like me, who wears lots of long sleeves and a hat, you're going to get sunburned.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your vacation because you are uncomfortable because you got a sunburn.
Yeah, first day. Also, the bug repellent, yes, bug season is all the way till all year long.
Right.
But mostly during rainy season. But you want to watch out for things like dengue fever, and who knows when that season ends. So we just use bug repellent now.
Good prevention.
Yeah. Number 8, what do you do about a phone?
We strongly recommend that you make sure that your phone has U.S. and Canadian international calling.
And Mexico.
And Mexico.
Yeah, the international calling plan usually covers Canada and Mexico and the U.S. But some people have tried to save money in the States, which is a good thing to do. And so they don't get the international plan. Then they get to Mexico and they're like, I'll just pay for roaming or whatever once in a while. There is a lot of Wi-Fi here. Everywhere you go, you just ask, what's your Wi-Fi, which is different than in the States. In the U.S., when we go back to visit, we're always asking the restaurants, what's your Wi-Fi? And they're like, why? Well, nobody needs Wi-Fi here. Because you all living up there pay extra for unlimited data.
Right. So you don't think about it.
Okay. We don't pay for that. We have a lot of opportunity to use Wi-Fi here. But you need an international calling plan on your phone so that you don't get charged a lot of money.
That's
when
right.
you get back. Okay, number 9. Speaking of that phone, before you leave the US or Canada, make sure you download the Uber app, because Uber is widely used here in Vallarta and in other cities. Not every city.
Not everyone. City. Right.
But if you can use Uber instead of a taxi, you will see what your fee is up front, and you won't get charged extra because you are a foreigner and you look like one.
Right. And maybe if your Spanish is great, you might be able to negotiate. But let's face it, most of us don't have that level of proficiency. But at least with the Uber app, you can make your choices on which Uber you want to take, and the prices are set. You can add a tip. It's the only way to go, in my opinion.
And so now that we are done with that, the biggest question people have, and we took some friends around and gave them a little tour the other day, and they kept saying, is this a safe neighborhood? Is it safe here? And we said, of course, we wouldn't be living in this neighborhood if it weren't safe.
That's right.
But we understand the concerns because those are huge from the U.S. Lots of news about people getting shot from the cartels.
Violence and things like that.
But in our experience, in our area here, we have not experienced any of that. But we have experienced incidences
of pickpocketing.
Pickpocketing. And they, again, will target the tourists. And so they see you as a gringo or as a foreigner, and they say, money there. In fact, I just read on the Facebook page just the other day that a lady was in the grocery store. And some little old lady was kind of needing some help. And the foreigner had her purse sitting on the grocery cart.
Oh, no.
And then she's helping the little lady, and then somebody else came and took her wallet.
Oh, that's awful.
She didn't even see what happened, but she knows that she was helping over here and something happened over there. And then we had a friend who had her backpack stolen from the beach. So you have to keep an eye on your stuff. Michael, what about what happened with you and your backpack?
Yeah, so you always hear all the bad stories. When we first came to Mexico, I was really tired, went to Starbucks, got a coffee, and then we ran out of there. And I ran out of there without my backpack. And luckily, I had my passport and the paperwork I needed to complete our residency. But I thought, well, I just donated all the stuff in my backpack. And so I said, well, I'll go back and just hope, keep hope alive. And I went back, and as soon as I walked in, the young lady behind the desk said, "Oh, sir, you left your backpack." I was so thrilled and honored. So not everything that's left behind is taken from you. So, but it's best prevention is always the greatest way to have an enjoyable experience without losing anything.
But keep an eye on your
stuff.
purse. Keep an eye on your fanny pack.
Mhm.
Keep an eye on your phone. We had a friend who had her phone taken in the Basilica.
Mhm.
And so it's very common, but it doesn't have to happen. There are also people who have told us when they lose their phone in the taxi, they go back to the taxi and they have their phone. So
Yeah,
there are happy endings.
exceptions, right?
It
Yeah,
doesn't always have to be bad.
yeah.
So those are our top 10 tips for visiting Mexico or just moving here. If you'd like to know more, just leave a comment down below. And thanks again for watching. We really appreciate you.
We surely do.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Hasta luego.